Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka Mr. Never Shown. This is episode number 109, and of course I'm joined by Scott, aka Scopy1.
Welcome back, everybody.
And on the other side we got Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion. Welcome back, sir.
Hey guys, how are you doing today?
Good, man. It was a busy ass day at work, I tell you that much. And there was only two of us working. One person just so happened to be like, "Oh, I looked at the schedule and I thought I was off, so left us short-handed." So there's that. But other than that, it was an okay day.
I thought I was off. Well, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Well,
gonna be off anyway.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah,
"Well, I'm in
take
Philly."
the
I
day.
was like, "Cool, sounds good. Won't
Honestly,
see you
that's
today."
that's the best excuse. Yeah, I thought I had off today, so I didn't show up.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that
All right,
explains
cool.
it.
And,
Guess you're
but-
tired.
and
Clearly.
no, not even like for a company that doesn't have like a point system or like anything. It's just like, okay, like there's
You know
no,
what? While you're at it,
Yeah,
just
all
don't
right.
even show up the rest of the week. Honestly,
and we're so shorthanded
Okay.
as it is. We're like never going to fire nobody. Like it's
here's your
insane.
paycheck.
Yeah, easily. But that's like most places are so short-handed that like you could spit in your boss's face and they'd be like, "See you,
See you tomorrow."
See you tomorrow."
That deserves some PTO, honestly.
That
Just for
deserves
that,
some
you're gonna get
unpaid
s-
PTO.
You're
You
gonna,
just spit in my face. That makes me a little more worried about like you. How's your stress level? You know what? Take the day off. Come back tomorrow.
and you're gonna have a
Freshen
raise
ready.
tomorrow.
I mean, is it the money? We'll pay you more.
No. There's never a raise, okay, guys? We hire new people making more than the old people do.
We're gonna throw you the best pizza party
The
ever.
best
And let you
part.
know what?
For
You can
sure.
choose whatever topping you would like. We're gonna let you pick
And
the
then
topping.
you pay for it.
Ah,
We're gonna
that's
let you
great.
pick the topping.
Man, we could sit here and talk about corporate America all day long, but we got to get to the gaming news. Before we do
Okay.
that, we got to talk about what we've been playing because we actually had a pretty solid list here. Roger, you have the longest list, and actually, I have the shortest list here this week. So, Roger, you beaten 2 games this week. Let's talk about those real quick. You beat Adelaire Ryza. It's a game that you started, I think, last week as well, and also Airborne Kingdom. Which one of those two would you like to talk about first?
All right, let's talk about Airborne Kingdom. So, I've been playing a bunch of games on Game Pass like everyone does, and I'm just looking around trying to find something new. And Airborne Kingdom was kind of one of those games that I saw it once or twice, and I was like, I don't know if I want to pick this up. You know, it just doesn't look like what I would like to play. But as soon as I picked this game up, it shows to me what Game Pass really does for the industry. Like you find these little games and you're like, wow, I never would have played this if it weren't for Game Pass. Like I wouldn't have paid $25 for this game just because it would have been a risk to play it. But honestly, I had a ton of fun with this game. It's a simulation game. It's about city building in the sky. So you're building a giant ship to pretty much just run through the air, and you visit different places on the ground and you trade with them, you collect resources, and the whole idea is to make a completely level, stable city that flies through the air. Vic, you might be muted on the stream.
Yep. Sorry about that. But yes, I was muted. I was just trying to say that there's a lot of games like this, similar to like Wandering Village, where they're building stuff on top of the like monster that's walking through the world, and you're just trying to build a city. And then this one here, you're building a city in the sky, so it's a similar concept there. So these games have been big popular lately. But overall, you've been enjoying it though.
Well, I beat it. I thought it was a really interesting game. It had a really cool concept. Honestly, a lot of people put in more effort than I did in any way, shape, or form to build their cities. Mine was just as small and as square as I could make it.
Okay.
Did you ever feel at any point like seeing other cities? Did you feel like you were just the kid that was really bad at Legos?
Yeah.
Like you use like maybe 25 pieces, and you're like, that's definitely a race car, and your parents are like, it sure is.
It
And
sure
then you get
is.
somebody else with like an F1 racer, like completely built, like operational, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Here's my brick. You just got a square brick, and you're like, this is a boat. This is a boat now.
Here's a mega block that I drew tires on. It's really fast. It's pretty fast. Not gonna lie.
And what about your other game though, Roger?
So, Atelier Ryza was an interesting game. I wanted some JRPG style gameplay, something, just to scratch that itch that I've been having trouble finding a good game for. And I've been looking for a turn-based RPG, and I think I found it with this game. And I talked about it last week how it had such an interesting concept because I like skill trees. I always think they're fun to just like get points and fill out a skill tree. Well, I saw these trees, these sort of item or skill looking trees inside the demo for like or inside the images to see what the game looked like. Well, it turns out the whole idea is about alchemy, as I said last week, and it really just it felt good to sit there and be able to build through this tree and like try to make items and like try to figure out new things that you can do and try to build the best item you could by min-maxing the different items you picked up along the way. I thought it was a really good game, and I'm excited to try the second and third one. I just don't want to shill out $60 right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair assessment.
Yeah, for sure, especially with the month that we're about to have for gaming. And that's an understatement for sure. But enough of Roger, what you've been playing. Let's move on to Scott's games here. Looks like you have a pretty solid list here, man. So, any game? Which one of these games did you play the most over the past week?
For sure, Baldur's Gate.
Okay, and how was that
Uh,
playthrough?
it's still good. So I remember I kept telling you guys I was getting my ass just handed to me at this one certain spot, and I actually went in. I made it. The fact that I made it there, I'm already like kind of astounded that it even let me do that. But I was like level 7 in one of like the final fights of Act 2,
Mhm.
like heading into Act 3. And I was just so hilariously underleveled. It was just so bad, and finally ended up getting through that, and that just let me push. That just got me motivated to push further. But on beyond that, I also started a new campaign yesterday with some friends, so we're gonna be doing a playthrough of that. And this time it'll be on tactician mode,
Mhm.
so it's a little bit harder. Kind of have to think a little bit more. So I'm
But you don't
excited.
have to play four players. You got one friend for each
Yeah,
character.
yeah. Well, currently there's 3 of us. So and since it is my campaign, I will have to play as one character. I just don't know who I want to keep yet. But I did finally get to meet Gale. I did finally get to meet Gale. I didn't rip his hand off. Uh, and so super nice dude. Super nice dude. Can't wait to see what his story's about.
That's great. So, Scott, let's also talk about another game that me and you both have played this week. Roger, you have already beaten the game, but I finally did start Sea of Stars, and I played, I think I'm about a little over like 3 hours into the game, and it's a game that I have this itch of like, I don't want to stop playing.
It's
I
it's
don't want
fucking
to put it
fun,
down.
right?
And the fact that like Roger, you were spot on. Like you kind of can turn your brain off with this game because like the game is pretty much straightforward. Like obviously you got the turn
Mhm.
based that you got to maybe think about. Okay, do I use this move? Do I use an item here? Whatever. But like the whole like you don't. It's not an open world. Like damn, do I go this way or do I go this way? Or, like what am I doing? What am I trying to
No,
do? It kind of just I'm just like stumbling upon what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, oh
yeah, it's
okay, I
great.
didn't even think about it. I'm progressing through the story.
Yeah. Base bar of the game, dude. I love it. It's you're right. You can turn your mind off, and it's just so fun to play. It was like when I started playing it last week or the week before, like on all of my list of games, like that was the one that I was the most excited to go back to playing.
Yeah, I'm
Where
definitely
it
looking
didn't feel
forward to
like,
it.
oh, I have to get through it.
Right. Yeah, like right now it's like tough to like try and balance that and Starfield as it's being talked about here in chat. Like those games are really like they have my attention like at 100% and I'm trying to balance playing through both of them and obviously I got to pick up a new game for October for our game club which I'll talk about later on at the end of the episode there. But yeah, let's talk about Starfield obviously real quick. Scott, me and you have both been playing this. Roger, it doesn't look like it's on your list this week and that's all right. But my playthrough is progressing. I started the Into the Unknown mission, but then like I got to the Freestar collectors, and I was just like, more side missions, like completely veered off again. And I'm like, fuck, like I wanted to do the Into the Dark or Into the Unknown and start getting my abilities and stuff, and I completely like sidetracked it, way off track, and I'm gonna reel it back in during my next playthrough. But what about you, Scott? How far are you in? How's your playthrough?
Still not very far. I've been slow rolling it a lot, just because I'll come across it, and then it's like, truth be told, man, I get bored. I
Yeah.
get really bored playing that game really easily. Um, and like I just said, like it's one of the games where I'm like, oh yeah, I have to play it. I have to get through it. It's Starfield, right? But I'm like, man, it's just not hitting those spots like some other games that I've been playing have.
Like,
But I'm still slow rolling, and I'm still gonna play it. But it's like, man, boo.
yeah, I kind of want to pile on there and tell you why I haven't been playing it. And that's exactly it, Scobie. Like, let's talk about Sea of Stars. It's a great game. The story is enticing. Like, it feels good to continue through the story. But Starfield, man, there's so much going on. And just like, none of it is like, this grabs my attention. Like, I had one quest that did. It's done. I'm done with it. I finished it. I'm not really into the rest. And it's like, okay, you hit Freestar, like you said, Vic. And I hit it and I went, there's like 30 quests right here. Nah, I'm good. I just kept walking.
It's a lot.
Just
Well,
kept
it's
walking.
like it's Marshmallow. Like Marshmallow said, it's sensory overload.
Yeah.
It is. It's task saturation at its finest. But it's like
Mhm.
I have yet to see something that is a task for anything other than the sake of just being a task.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, it still looks amazing. It's still fun. Like it's still good to be there. But I'm not aching to continue
Right.
playing.
This
Starfield.
is a game where you have to invest. Like, this is the only game that you're playing for the most part. Like, this is a game that you have
Yeah.
to immerse yourself. Like, you are the character as opposed to like I'm playing as that character.
But like I can't feel like I can be the character. Like that's my problem. Like every time I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, I'm trying to role play it and stuff. Some of the dialogue choices, yes. And then you're like, okay, all right, so the dialogue's bad. Let's see what I can do with my character. All right, I'm gonna go, try to do this. No, you can't do that. You have to just gun hobo it. All right, guess I'm a gun hobo now.
I don't feel an issue with like feeling with the character. My character looks exactly like me. He's like 7'2", black, 275 pounds. Basically spitting image. So I have no problem with that. But yeah, it just feels empty in between its focal points. It feels like it feels like it's got its focal points, but in between it's just empty.
Yeah, and like I'm after the third time clearing the same exact pirate base on 3 different planets, I'm just sort of like, fuck, no, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry, no.
I guess in the future they didn't have antitrust, and one company was responsible for everybody's fucking.
Yeah,
base.
they built every fucking hangar on
Well,
every
the issue was
on-
that they bought the rooms and they had no idea what the fuck it was gonna be, so that's just what they ended up with.
Exactly. So enough Starfield. Let's talk about a game that both of you guys have played and a game that I'm looking to pick up later on is Lies of P. Roger, how much further are you into this game? Like, is it progressively getting better from your last week's
Yeah, this shit's hard, dude. This shit pounds my ass and then asks me to say thank you. Like, what the fuck? Like, I finished a boss and I was like, honestly, was it worth the 3 hours it took me to do this boss fight? And don't get me wrong, the best part about the game is it puts some of the really hard bosses, it puts the entrance right next to the respawn point. So you don't have to go very far. So every time you get your ass clapped, it's a quick journey back.
They just want you to keep at it. They give you that little false hope. You're like, oh, I only have to walk that far. Yeah, I'll go do it again.
So it's not like
You get your-
Wolong's first
get your
boss.
fucking shit pushed in.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. That first boss was ass.
It took
In
hard. It
Lies
was
of
hard as
P,
shit.
That shit in Lies of P,
I'm talking about
fucking hurt. I
Wolong.
know you are.
I'm talking about
but
Wolong.
if you're gonna be picking up Lies of P,
Mhm.
I'm glad you're already experienced with getting your shit rocked by the first boss.
Yeah, like the first boss, like you finish something in that first mini boss in Lies of P, and you're like, okay, that was, and you kill him, and you're like, wait, that wasn't a boss, that was a mini boss. Okay,
That was
what's
just
the
a big
first
guy.
boss look like? And like, you get to the first boss, and like you're like, okay, I got the pattern down. He goes, fuck this shit, and then you're like, oh, okay, never mind. Guess I didn't have it down.
Like, yo, my grandmama gave you that pattern. What pattern? What fucking pattern?
Yeah, honestly, it's a fun game. I think the biggest issue is some of the boss fights get a little involved. Once you get about, I'd say, a third of the way through the game, we get the Souls-like pattern of a boss fight doesn't just consist of one phase. Cool, you've removed my health bar once. Cutscene, phase 2. And you're like, with what consumables? And they're like, Haha, you
Yeah.
figured it
So
out.
just
didn't
like
ya?
Wolong's first boss, because I was like, yes,
And
I beat the first one, and I was like, got
yeah.
to the second part, and it's like 1,000 times harder than
Yeah.
the first part, and I have
And
no
You beat the-
consumables.
you beat-
first boss of one Wolong is honestly one of the easiest things I've ever done in a Souls-like game. And if you thought that was hard, just you wait till you find out what a real Souls-like boss looks like.
So it sounds like I'm gonna break
It's,
my first controller in a long time.
It's
huh?
it's
Yeah.
so incredibly humbling.
And the thing is, you
It
gotta
really
remember
is.
with Souls-like, this game doesn't say, okay, if you counter, we're gonna make the game better. Like Wolong, if you countered at the right time, perfect. All you had to do was block, attack, you win the fight. This one says, cool, you blocked me, now I'm gonna rape you from the other side. And you're like,
Like,
oh.
they're like, no, you blocked that arm. Hold
I
on.
have I attack you 4 times in this pattern. You have to block. And it's not like a consistent pattern. It's block.
Oh, so it's
Don't swing
so
during that either.
I hated that shit during Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is like boss battles. You had to like time the blocks, and it would be like in a like random ass pattern. You're like trying to guess like when it's gonna hit.
Well,
and,
it's not
and then,
random.
Well, it's a pattern. It's the same pattern every time, but it's like it was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But it's like then you had to like remember that pattern. So like when it was time to block it, you
Yeah.
had to like, fuck, was it a
And then
double
you
here?
get-
Was it like a triple here? Like it was like
And
painstaking.
you get like 3 or 4 times into the combo, and you're sitting there, and he just goes and swings, and you're like, I blocked, time to attack, and he goes, did you forget? And you're like, yes,
Sorry, nope.
yes, I did. Thanks.
I guess I did. So we got to move on here, Roger. Your next game here that I want to talk about was Yakuza 5. Looked like you dove more into this game. Is it still holding up fairly well? Is this a good one?
Honestly, so I've talked about it today on my way to get lunch with Disney, and I was talking about how Yakuza 5 is that game to me where it's like the series went on too long, but then it didn't because they released 0 and 1 Kiwami after it. And when they released Yakuza Kiwami, the first remake, and 0, it came after the 5th game. So like I know that they struggled. They started really poorly and like the combat didn't really do well, but I only played the remake of 1, so I never got to see that. But the 2nd, 3rd, 4th game, you're like, man, they're struggling. Like some of these boss fights are just stupid. And like you finally hit number 5 and you're like starting to feel like they've figured it out and actually made an interactive fight system. So like I'm excited to see where it goes in 6 before they completely throw that out the window and do like a dragon.
Okay, for sure. And then let's see here. Actually, talking about Wolong, you actually picked it up here. It's on your list again. Was this like a quick hop in, hop out, or did you try to progress the
I
story a
wanted to
little bit more?
show Nightmare Gore. We were looking at this. He likes Souls-like games sometimes, so I was like, well, you want to play Wolong? And since it's a 3-player game, I was like, maybe we can play. Maybe somebody else can hop in, but I was like, if you like this, we can play this. And it's honestly one of those games that I really enjoyed and I just wanted to go back to. But I put my playthrough on hold because we started a playthrough. And I was like, maybe I should go back to my playthrough.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a super fun game.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, and I just wish we continued to play it because it was actually a lot of fun. Obviously, once we got past the first boss, and we were just
Yeah.
going through them. I mean, after that, we went through like 3 bosses or whatever. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. But Scott, let's talk about you. Looks like you picked up Warzone 2 again, and you caught a dub. Was this again bots, or was this the real deal?
I don't know, man. So yeah, I was having what was it, Thursday, I think it was, something like that, and I was just hanging out. Lady friend was doing a girls' night, so I hung out with the dogs for a little bit, and then came up, and I just decided to start basically just. I hit the Rolodex of all the games that I was playing, so I played for a little bit, half hour here, hour here, anything like that, and then by the end of the night, I was just like, all right, what do I want to do? And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna hop into Warzone. Hop into Warzone. I got on Ashika Island and I auto dubbed. I don't know what it was. It was getting back on a bike. It auto dubbed. I think I dropped. It was either, I want to say it was like 10 or 11 or maybe like 11 or 12 kills, but it was easy. I felt really bad. I was like, it's probably because I was gone for so long that they just threw me in some bot lobby.
Right, to get you hooked again, to want to play more.
Yeah. They hit that first hit is always free every time. And so I just walked in. I literally just walked in, and I was the swinging dick in the lobby, and I just anybody I came across killed, and just kept going until I won, and that was it. Like I was at the final circle, and it was just at that little outside of the castle in that little open area where they got that little small tiny house past the creek.
Yeah.
And
What
I
a
was just like,
shitty area to fight.
and, well, and I'm like, where is this guy? I'm like, obviously, like, I usually run to the head of the gas, try to turn around and catch people coming in. It's like, I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? And he's just like, he was prone, crawling behind some wall, but I was on the same side of the wall as him. And so he was thinking I was elsewhere, and I just got up, I was like, "Oh, okay, and just fucking
Great
beat him. I was like, there it is. Victory. Too easy.
Wow,
I was
great.
like, what the hell?
That's
It was
great.
good. Free dope is always good.
It is.
Free is my favorite flavor.
So, yeah,
That's
so-
really it.
So enough of what we've been playing. Let's go ahead and move on to the upcoming game releases because got a solid week ahead of us. Nice, love it. No music was playing. That's great. I'm gonna have to fix that and post edit scenes. But Roger, if you want to dive into the upcoming game releases.
Yeah, so we got Bilkin's Folly is the first game to drop this week. So if you ever played Bear and it was like Bear and Breakfast or something, it was a game that released last year. It was by a small indie studio called Armor Games. They're releasing their next game called Bilkin's Folly. Bilkin's Folly is a journey with your companion, a dog, to solve puzzles, uncover valuable treasures, and bring light the foreboding family secret buried beneath the island you're on. It is a game coming to PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC on the 2nd of October. Then we have on October 3rd a few games coming out. We've got one of the big heavy hitters for a lot of people is Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtueless. PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. This is a JRPG turn-based strategy game in the series of Disgaea, the 7th installment now. We're going to then move on to the release of Scorn coming to PlayStation 5. And then Silent Hope, which is a chibi style JRPG looking game. It is only coming to Switch and PC, oddly enough, which is interesting to me that it didn't come out to any other platform. Then after that, we've got Assassin's Creed Mirage, the big hitter of the week, coming out on October 5th. That comes out for next gen and PlayStation 4. We also have a PC release as well. Then we've got Front Mission 2, a remake of an original classic game. This comes out for Switch. And then we have the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope. That comes out for the Switch as well. All of these on October 5th, in addition to Wargroove 2. Wargroove 2 being the Advanced Tactics, the Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy Color style game. Wargroove 2 is a ode to those classic turn-based strategy games that came out on many of our Game Boy platforms. The second installment in the series of this small indie studio comes out for Switch and PC the same day on October 5th. Following that, we have the Switch release of Borderlands 3 on October 6th, as well as another heavy hitter this week, a first-party exclusive coming out on Switch, Detective Pikachu Returns, which is, I believe, going to be a not a sequel, but in the same universe as the actual Detective Pikachu movie. So it will continue partially through that story on October 6th. And then lastly this week, we've got NHL 24 coming out for PS5, Xbox X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and that comes out on October 6th as well.
So the Detective Pikachu Returns is actually a sequel to 2016's Detective Pikachu for the Nintendo 3DS.
Ah, okay. So the movie is in between them, but may not actually be canonically in the same universe.
Sounds like Halo.
Sounds like Halo, yes. Hey, it was a good movie, unlike Halo,
Right, for
which
sure.
wasn't a good show.
Cough,
Yeah.
cough, cough, cough.
So yeah, I definitely agree here with
No
with,
coughing
with,
needed.
with Inhuman Line that Assassin's Creed Mirage is definitely the big hitter, the only game that I think matters this week. But Roger, I know there's another game on the list here that you're looking forward to, and is that the Detective Pikachu one?
Yeah, honestly, I like these kind of games. There's something I can sit down and play with Disney. It's a really fun style of game that I like. I do remember hearing that this may be multiplayer. I don't remember exactly. It may be like local multiplayer, but even if it isn't, it's a game that I can sit on the couch with my wife while Carl's asleep and actually just enjoy ourselves. It's just a fun little thing to spend the time with, and it's something that she can play and not get completely lost in. Like Sea of Stars, one of the best games around because she was able to pick up the controller and play, and it was fun because she wasn't struggling, and I hope this game will do the same thing. So it's something that hopefully will be a fun play. But Assassin's Creed Mirage, honestly, is one of those games that I'm looking out for this week because I want to get back into Assassin's Creed, but I don't want to. I want the Assassin's Creed. I don't want Viking Murder Party, you know? I want something that's true to what Assassin's Creed meant.
Right. I definitely agree. I mean, the last three have been this massive open world game that's kind of seems bigger than what Assassin's Creed should have been, but this is going to be great to see that Mirage is returning to its roots. And the fact that you can play with the filter on, that gives you like that blue like hue to it, like the OG Assassin's
the
Creed
original,
one.
like the original hue to it. I don't think a big open world was part of the problem. I think it's just some of the things they did in that big open world.
Well, it's the same thing you said about Starfield, right? Like between the actual content, what is there? It's kind of a drought. It's like, okay, do I want to go destroy the third, fourth, fifth base? You know, I just want to do the story, but you're just like, guess I gotta go murder hobo on 30 people in this base.
Right. I mean, well, like think about it. Like the OG Assassin's Creed had its flaws with like their side missions. Like you have to go pickpocket these random people
Yeah.
3 times to progress the story, but like it had no direct thing to what I was trying to accomplish in the story. But like I had to do that. It wasn't even like side content. Like it was mandatory.
Well, yeah, but like,
Yeah.
fuck those 3 people.
Fuck them 3 people. At least I
Like,
got a couple
Fuck them
dollars
in particular.
to buy nothing. No, yeah. But Scott, what game are you most excited for in this list here?
I gotta go and echo what you guys are saying with the Assassin's Creed Mirage, because while I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with a big open world, it's gonna be really, really nice to see Assassin's Creed try to go back to what it was and try to hit those roots that made Assassin's Creed and made it so damn popular to begin with. Really, really excited to see how the game plays out. Now, granted, I will be gone the day it comes out for an extended amount of time, for like 5 or so days. But it is definitely something that I'm gonna be looking to pick up when I get back, just because of what they're doing with it, and going back to playing an Assassin's Creed game, where a lot of the previous ones, they said Assassin's Creed, but they might not have felt like Assassin's Creed. Where hopefully this one gives us what we want as far as the feel and play of an older Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, and I want to echo what Inhuman says here, and I like that there's more ways to sort of draw you in to help you feel like you're actually in something, like you're in the Middle East. So the game actually can be played completely with, you know, the original voice actors, not just like dubbing over. Like the original voice acting is in Arabic, so like you can actually play with subtitles with the Arabic language. Like I'm a man who likes my anime subtitled, not dubbed. So like this to me is awesome. Like I play with subtitles already, so like just having the language be different helps to keep me sort of invested in what I'm doing.
Agreed. As another sub viewer, because sub is superior, 100%. It's gonna be really, really cool to be able to do that and play the game, get the original voice actors that you got, and you get that experience where you're actually listening to them when they're speaking, and you're not getting some like, oh yeah, really hot one today, right? Like stupid shit like that. You're actually getting good verbiage and communication, but then you get the subtitles to actually read it and see what's going on.
And the best part is when you're walking around and you get those stupid dialogue. Like Starfield does this to me. Like you walk around and there's some really dumbass shit that's said. Like you're like, fuck is this guy over here saying? Now if it's in Arabic and I can't understand it, cool. He could be talking about fucking a dog, but it'll sound cool because I won't know what he's saying because there may not be subtitles for every little bit of dialogue.
Did you just assume that he's fucking a dog? Is that you just assume he's talking about fucking a dog? Because that's kind
I
of...
mean, he can't be fucking a pig because he'd be Islamic.
Get canceled. Get canceled. Wow.
Get canceled.
Get canceled.
Can we talk
Just
about real
assuming
quick
our next.
how big of a week it is for the Switch though? Honestly,
It
like
is. It is a
Yeah.
huge week for the Switch.
because it's getting what Bilkins Folly. It's getting Dies Gaia 7.
This guy.
Silent Hope. It's getting Front Mission 2 remake, the Dark Pictures anthology, Wargrove, Borderlands 3, Detective Pikachu Returns. Like it's getting almost every
Not
game.
all of them are first party drops,
Right.
but they are getting a bunch of games finally coming to their console that may have not been there yet.
Right.
Yeah, which is really really nice to see.
Yeah.
So,
Switch is
Borderlands
getting all
3
the
for
support.
Switch is awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's gonna run because that's a pretty massive and pretty demanding game. It'll probably be one that's ran via cloud, would be my guess. But
Yeah, you could safely assume that probably.
yeah, so only time will tell. But enough of what is coming out. Let's talk about the industry news because boy, was there a lot to get into. I love it. No music. It's the best. Kicking off. Yeah, you got it. You know it just cuts
Where's
off.
Lauren? We need Lauren now.
So kicking off our industry news here with Capcom and Microsoft related news, and it's because obviously a lot of leaked information, some information came out that Microsoft was interested in acquiring Capcom, but the COO has said that they would decline an offer from Microsoft if the proposal were to happen. So I mean, good to
Good.
see. I mean, we
Good.
don't need Capcom to
Good.
bought off by Microsoft. So
They have too much power. They don't need to fucking buy Capcom.
If they have
man. Get outta here.
Activision Blizzard, like they pretty much all but won at this point, and like they don't need anyone else right now. Like,
yeah, not anytime soon.
At this point, they're just kicking everybody else while they're down.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all it is.
But Scott, if you want to talk about a studio that is down right now.
It must be Sunday because Ubisoft fucked up. It seems like every time we talk about Ubisoft, they are shitting the bed. And in this one, they definitely shitted a lot of beds. So the Montreal studio is actually in a lot of turmoil, freaking out because the employees were made to return to the office for work. So this is over 4,000 employees. And normally it's like, yeah, okay, return to the office, not really that big of a deal. The problem here is they fucking lied. And when they lied and they said that, yes, remote work from home 100% is going to be a long-term deal, you know, that a lot of people changed their lives to fit that. If you think you're going to be working from home the whole time and you think you're going to be a 100% remote worker, you know, you've had people that moved away from Montreal, probably into a place that was more affordable for them, maybe 2 or so hours away, maybe more, maybe less, but you have a lot of people that like changed their lives, or alternatively, and this is the big one, took the job with the understanding that they would be 100% remote. And Ubisoft said, nah, fuck that, we'll see you Monday. And that pissed a lot of people off. And as a remote worker here, Vic, I don't think you're a remote worker. Roger, are you a remote worker sometimes? Like
all the time.
You okay? So you get told, yes, this is going to be a long-term solution. Is work from home, remote work, and you move an hour and a half, 2 hours away into a place that's, you know, better suited for you, your family, more affordable, everything like that. And then all of a sudden they said, nah, you got to come in every day. Every day is on site from now on, 100% on site.
Well,
I'd be
and what's
fucking
even
pissed too.
worse, 4,000 employees across the globe are required to return to work. So it's not even people just like moved to different parts of Canada. These people
It's
are in different
everywhere.
countries.
Right.
Yes, it is because this was and those people were like the individuals that I was speaking of that took the job because it was either advertised or promised as 100% remote work. How the fuck are they gonna get to work? Like they're gonna buy $600-$700 worth of airplane tickets, stay in a hotel every Monday through Friday? Like what's going on there? But like it's the biggest point is that Ubisoft lied. Like and especially for those individuals who got the job under the pretense that they were going to be working from home.
Yeah.
Like I'm a 4-day a week from home guy. I go in on 1 day a week, and that's fine. But that was also what was offered at the time that I went and started working for them. They said, "Yeah, it's good. This is how it's going to be." If they
You
were
may
like,
have
"You have
left
to be
another job and
I
then
did leave
took
another
this
job
job. And
and
that's
took
the
this
thing. Like
job."
these people may have left other jobs and now they're like, sorry, see you in Montreal.
Yeah, they're like, "That sucks. We do sushi on Wednesdays. We'll see you here." Like, just dumb shit like that. It's a boo on Ubisoft
Yeah.
for that, or
Yeah,
at
this
least
is
not
bad.
making a plan to maybe work on scattering that back in, but still,
Right,
even
and
then,
this is just
not
honestly going
yummy.
to add on to the whole laying off issue right now that a lot of a lot of companies in the gaming industry are doing right now, which we're going to cover later on. But Roger, let's talk about Unity because this is just an update in regards to like last 2 weeks that we've been talking about Unity, but
Yeah.
we're starting to see the repercussions of this.
Yeah, so companies are starting to make the move. Like, if Unity decides to reinstate the now debunked or the now decided not to be instated policy of, pay per install, a lot of companies are like, hey, we're done using Unity. So, like, there is a Nintendo Switch port of a game, the Wipeout style racer from Ballistic NG. They just decided to cancel it because if for any reason Unity decides to put this pay model in, they're fucked. They're not going to make any money on this game. So they're like, we're done. They canceled the development entire game. So whoever's on the Switch wanted to play this, too bad. It's gone. It's done. It's scrapped.
Right, and this is sad to see because like this could impact a lot of just indie developers in general because Unity was a easily accessible engine for people to use, easy entry, but now it's becoming almost impossible because like what if your game only sells 100 or whatever, but you spent now the new thing you're gonna have to fucking pay millions or whatever, thousands of dollars, whatever it is, and it's not gonna make any sense, and you're just going to hinder the indie developer big time.
No pun intended.
Yeah, none at all.
Not going to make any sense. Not
But
a single one.
let's move on to one that also isn't making any sense, but it just kind of goes to show that the model itself wasn't going to last as long. With Kick being like easy accessible, anybody can stream. It was centered around the whole small streamer, big payouts, stuff like that. Well, they're running into some scrutiny after Ice Poseidon's stream that led to a swatting and an arrest because of like the what they were doing on their streams because the terms of service is kind of pretty much like you can do whatever you want, and
Yep.
then that's not okay. Like they were so big on freedom that they didn't realize the repercussions that this was going to lead to, and then they were like, we're not really making any money from this, so now we're going to change the whole pay structure. It's no longer going to be 95 to 5%. They're changing it. Whether I don't know what they're changing it to, but they said they got to change it. They got to update their terms of services and stuff like that. But this goes to show that like Twitch may not have been wrong with what they were doing, but I'm not applauding Twitch with what they have done. But Twitch probably understands like, hey, if you want to stay in this business, you got to do certain things. So
Yeah. And not to mention, this is like Kix is under fire for its freedom of, streaming. Like, they don't have any, their rules are pretty lax. But like this leads to people like Ice Poseidon, who's gone around the globe and has been arrested multiple times in multiple countries for breaking multiple laws because fuck the local laws. And it's one of those things where you're like, man, this guy's ruining it for the rest of us because now it's like he gives a bad reputation to people the same, nationality.
right, like the most recent one was like he was facing backlash for filming a man hiring an escort, which is
Yep.
someone that you pay for to have sex or whatever. So it's just
Hmm.
like, why? Like that's not okay. Like, not at all.
Hmm.
So we'll see. We'll continue to follow that. I'm sure that'll be an evolving topic there. But Scott, I want to talk to you with Square Enix and People Can Fly, talking about a game that I really enjoyed when it first came out. But if you want to run this
Yeah.
down for us.
So, talking with Square Enix and people can fly. So they're the developers that made Outriders, and they have yet to receive any royalties from Outriders. So that launched in 2021, and they said that they have not received anything. So really, they're saying they don't even know how profitable. Well, obviously not profitable because they would have made money if it was profitable, right? But they don't even have any idea how many copies were sold. Like their original estimation was they're thinking like 2 to 3 million. But they haven't actually gotten any numbers from Square Enix either.
Right.
Not to mention, there's already a DLC out for this game.
Yeah,
Right.
like so.
But what makes it worse is
it's-
like they signed a Game Pass deal. So like
Mhm.
they've made money regardless of how many it sold. They made money because of Game Pass. And that means they didn't receive any money from that Game Pass deal.
Yeah, which is odd. It smells fishy. It's not passing the smell test for me.
Thank goodness they got a new
Square Enix's
CEO.
end.
Maybe this new CEO will fix this.
Could be. Maybe we will stay here and we will wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first.
For sure. So, Roger, let's move on to a big topic this week with SAG-AFTRA in regards to the gaming industry.
Yeah, so the writer's strike that recently just came to a conclusion, actually. We just got a deal, last week or this week. The members approved a strike against the video game industry because the writers of video games are now being included in the SAG-AFTRA, you know, we're being undercredited and undercompensated for the work that we do to make these things what they are, because without writing you really don't have a game most of the time. You just have a concept and maybe some shooting, but like you have to have a story to make the game sound coherent. And so it doesn't mean they're actually going to go on a strike, though. It just means that they've approved the ability for them to join SAG-AFTRA and their strike. But the next bargaining session is scheduled for this week, so we may just see them get compensated.
And come up with a
Unlikely,
new
but we
deal.
may see them actually get compensated, come up with a new deal, and have actually a reasonable move.
Yeah, I mean that's big because all of these workers that are putting their time and effort into making these games are just not getting the pay, not getting the credit that they truly deserve. Because, like you said, without the story, that writing, like a game is not a game. It's just a concept.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm just glad that they're seeing that they're going to start working towards this because like the whole issue is like with these like streaming services was a big problem with like Netflix and Disney Plus because now you have to produce more content at a much faster rate, but then like the cost that you're receiving from the consumer, like does it pay for the cost of being able to pay these guys? And that's the issue that they're going to run into the gaming, like whether it's Game Pass or PlayStation Plus and stuff like that. So this is going to be something we're going to follow.
There's almost too many video games, just like there are too many shows, and we're getting to the point where like the writers aren't being credited for good things. It's just they're putting out garbage, and it goes to show like you'll get better writing if you get better compensation for better writing. So like if I can just put out 10 screenplays versus a good screenplay, I'm going to put out 10. Disney used to work at a publishing house. They put out hundreds of books a year instead of like 10 or 15, just because they could just try to sell hundreds of different books.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
because they believe that quantity is its quality.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that.
I mean,
Exactly.
Disney's doing it right now with their TV shows. Like, it was cool to see Iron Man here and then Thor here. Like, every once in a while you get a superhero movie. But now it's like, new show, new show, new show. Like, as soon as that show ends, here's another new one. Like, you never get a break away from superheroes. So it's kind of like the whole superhero, like, genre of movies is kind of just...
You start to get bored
Yeah,
real
you're just
fast.
like,
Yeah, and like you said, they're not putting out quality stuff anymore. They're just putting out shit, and they're throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And the issue with
And
Marvel
it's
is like
gonna-
they have so
yeah.
much source material to pull from that they can make really fucking great shit, but they're not. They're not putting any effort into
the
it.
thing is, like, they have some and the same thing can be said about comics. There's so much shit out there. Like DC, I buy so many comics, and like a good third of them are just utter garbage. I bought them because I'm like, oh, I wanted to see the superhero, and then you get into it and you're like, wow,
This was bad.
this was
That was a
hot
really
dog
bad
shit.
That was
Would've
a
been
really
better
fucking bad
investment.
read. That was a really fucking bad read. Sucked.
So last topic here in our industry news is for Nvidia, because this one was interesting. Their French office was raided by the competition authority over anti-competitive practices. And this one came out of nowhere because I didn't know like Nvidia was going through issues like that, but apparently like I guess like AMD or somebody was just like, hey, you might want to raid their office. They're doing some bad shit over there. Roger,
But like, what were they expecting to find? Like
know.
did they find like a handgun that said for AMD use only? Like I don't.
Yeah.
What were they doing that led them off to an anti-competitive practice? Because like
Someone had some
we're in
insider
America, we
information.
have to deal with anti-competitive and antitrust shit all the fucking time.
Well,
So, like,
what
what
it
were they doing there?
is the European Union is playing hardball with big tech corporations because they're trying to do sweeping regulations to fix these monopolistic practices in the industry because, you know, not anyone can make a gaming card or, you know, things of that nature. Like, you've got two companies. You've got AMD and you got Nvidia.
And
Like,
Intel, technically.
Yeah.
But not
So-
really.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
So,
okay.
like,
yeah, they're there, but
Honorable
really-
mention.
yeah.
the problem is they're not allowing anyone else into the market, and so they're looking for ways to prove that, and they have good reasonable suspicion that there's just bad things going on in the industry, and the industry is making sure that they're the only ones there. So they conducted a raid into an anti-competitive practices by the chip maker to see why their chips, like why nobody else can, you know, compete, why they're, because their prices are, as we know, are just to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the moon.
Yeah, it's
Love
really
that.
weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sure that this will be a ever evolving story that we'll follow, but
This is why I voted for Brexit.
so that's all of our industry news. Let's go ahead and move on to the meaty, juicy part of our podcast here with the gaming news. All right, so I'm going to kick it off here with the Xbox news before we get into the glorified PlayStation news. That's why I have this shirt here. But for Xbox, this one was really interesting. It's not really necessarily news, but it brought up a good point of like Digital Foundry says they want Microsoft to ask third parties why they're not using the full potential of the Series X, but because like they're making games at the parity level of the PS5, saying they have to make the game max out on the PS5 even if it doesn't max out on the Series X. And it's just like that's not fair. Like you can use the full potential of the Series X and it'll just showcase how poorly the PS5 is. But they're not allowing Microsoft to have that ability to do so because for some reason they're keeping it on the parity level where the PS5 and the Series X have to release at the same quality. Roger, what's your take on this?
Honestly, I just want to know if PlayStation's doing anything shady. Like, I'm a PlayStation guy, but I still want to know: is PlayStation paying these developers, "Hey, make a parody game. I don't want the Xbox version better, or I'm not going to let you release it on PlayStation." What's going on there?
Right.
It's a reasonable question to ask because yeah, it could probably perform a lot better on the Xbox, but why isn't it?
Right, because even if PlayStation isn't paying for it, like the real question then is to the developers, like, why are you purposely making the Xbox version not as good as it can be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you pay for the whole Xbox, you should be able to use the whole Xbox. And the fact
Now-
that they are not allowing that to happen, that's sus. It's sussy baka.
And I think one of the things to think about here though as well is bad publicity. If you build a game and it plays better on Xbox but not on PlayStation, you're gonna get bad publicity because people will be like, "Oh, why is this copy better?" And like, yeah, we're gonna point to the console war that always happens, but like at the same time, that's still gonna reflect poorly on the developer if they make a game that just doesn't perform as well. So like the idea is they want it to perform as well on both consoles, I'm pretty sure, just so that they can avoid having that. Well, it's you know,
If it's bad on one, it's bad on
the
both.
port, yeah, the port, like, because we do it with the PC ports. We talk about how PC ports are bad for games. Now, what if the PlayStation or Xbox port is bad? You know, they're not ports; they're made for that game originally. But
Right.
for if they're bad on one but not on the other, you know, it kind of leads people to get grumpy, bad publicity, bad sales follow.
Yeah.
This is the kind of shit that stops hardware innovation. It stops the creation of the better console.
Mhm.
Like if like, oh, first off, the console wars are always gonna be there, right? Until everyone grows the fuck up and gets on a PC, everyone's gonna be arguing about whether or not they're on Xbox or PlayStation. But if you have a game that could run so much better, like how you would have intended it to run,
Yeah.
and you see the true potential of your game on a specific set of hardware, why would you not? Because yeah, it maybe Xbox runs a lot better for a while, then maybe PlayStation actually gets off of their fucking asses, gets rid of somebody, and then gets a better piece of hardware. Like they build a better product, like that the consumer wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you will,
Well,
if you
who
if
cares
you
about the
allow
consumer?
I mean, not
No,
me,
yeah.
fuck 'em. But
Yeah.
But,
but
we also got to think
like,
about it too,
consumer
like
wins.
how like you were saying, like you don't want the Xbox to be better than PlayStation because it'll lead to bad PR. But like Cyberpunk, for instance, it runs by far the best on a maxed out PC. Most people can't afford that PC, but it it's a night and day difference what it looks like on maxed out PC versus then console. Like why does it run better on the PC? Well, because they made it run it better on the PC and it has
Well,
better.
because my
PC
video
has
card
better
is
hardware.
But that's
my
but that
video
but that
card
also
is three
but that
times
al-
the price of your Xbox.
no, but that can be the same argument for Xbox versus PlayStation. Xbox could just have the better hardware than PlayStation.
Yeah, and you know what? Bad PR. Okay, you get bad PR, you get your PP smacked for a little bit. Build a better system.
Right. I don't know how the game developer would get bad PR. Like maybe it's like, hey, we made the best possible game on the PlayStation. The PlayStation's system just doesn't and can't
That
run it.
excuse, but the problem is, look at Starfield. They were like, we optimize it, and everyone's eat dick. No, you didn't. And they're like, whether or not Bethesda is telling the truth that they truly, truly tried the best that they could and they did everything possible, it's on them. Everyone yells at Bethesda, hey, your PC port eats hot dog shit for breakfast.
Yeah. Well, PC ports like this whole year have been god awful, no matter who made them.
Yeah,
Oh.
but what I'm getting at though is
It's
you
not
see
for me.
where I'm going with this is if I make a game better on Xbox than on PlayStation, I'm gonna eat that flack because now I've made a poor port for PlayStation, even though it was the hardware. I can say it was the hardware, but PlayStation will snap back and say, nah, you just made a shit game.
Well, then
Nah,
that's why it
fuck
comes
that.
down to
I'm-
companies like Digital Foundry that actually put it up side by side to compare it. Like, hey,
Yeah.
they
Here's
this-
your receipts.
yeah, here's your receipts. This is actually factual information. The developers are not lying.
The game sucks on PlayStation because this is the best we could do with PlayStation. The game's awesome on Xbox because here's what we can do on Xbox.
But then
Fix
you
your
have to
shit.
pay money to fight that though, and that's the thing. It just becomes a PR battle, and PR battles are expensive. So
yeah,
like,
for sure.
at the end of the day, making a game that doesn't cause ripples in the PR world is better than making a game, that you have to like, I made the best possible game for every system. Cool, awesome. It's great for the players, but people are going to be upset. You're going to cause a PR war, and then you have to fight it.
Yeah.
Crowd
when
like
you
that.
give up,
We need to bring
'cause,
that
like,
back,
Yeah.
honestly. But it has to be at a Waffle House, and it can only be one person from your respective fan base, like one Xbox person and a PlayStation person, and that's it.
Yeah. So I figured that was a great topic to talk about there. But let's talk about MetaQuest 3. Obviously, we know they announced their VR headset recently, but you'll be able to access Xbox game via the Xbox Cloud Gaming, which looked pretty cool because you can access basically Game Pass on the VR headset and play games. And they were testing it at their most recent event. I was like, that's just another avenue that Xbox just is tapping into. Like, maybe these games aren't VR, but like it's the whole like it just puts a screen in front of you and you're just playing the game in the headset and it just works. And I'm just like, why not, right? It's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
moving on here to the other news, was Baldur's Gate 3 producer is joining the Fable team over at Playground Games. And that's pretty interesting because the success from Baldur's Gate 3 tying in now with Fable. Fable's only up from here, guys.
Dude,
it may be the producer, but is it the talent that
Right.
made the game?
yeah, it's maybe it's a guy with a keen eye, or what? I'm not 100% sure, but unless it's the actual like talent behind the people like behind Baldur's Gate 3, I'm still a little skeptical. But like this sentence right here, I will think about tonight, 100%, because I love both of these games and I love both of these franchises, and seeing that is just like it doesn't get much better than that.
Right. And then moving on here to some updates in regards to games from Xbox. This one here is for you, Scott. Elder Scrolls Castles was shadow dropped the other day, and it's similar to the game like Fallout Shelter that originally released on mobile. Eventually came to like console and PC, I believe. But have you downloaded and checked this game out, or is this the first time you heard about it?
I've downloaded it after I saw this, and I saw news about it earlier today. I downloaded it. I haven't hopped on it today yet, but that will probably be a very real possibility. I wonder if it's. I wonder if they ripped off Westworld when they built this. It's gonna come with the same bugs and features.
Yeah.
No, but it's awesome. I mean, I'm a fan of that shit. Even if it's just if it you already know my constant search for that proper pooper.
Right. And you might have
And
found your new
one of these days, and this is things that I love. Just it's your kind of Fallout Shelter-esque game, but with the Elder Scrolls, might be the proper pooper.
Easy enough. And then onto Minecraft Dungeons. It recently hit 25 million players. But sad news here that it's ending its development. But that's so they can move on to new Minecraft projects that are in the works. But shout out to that team over there at Minecraft Dungeons because 25 million players, that's a lot. That's a lot of players to come through and check out that game there. Roger, did you ever play through that game at all?
I didn't beat it, but also at the same time, Minecraft Dungeons has been out for a while. It's got the Minecraft name on it. Whether it was good or not, it had a lot working for it that, like,
And it was on Game Pass,
it'd be hard to fail. Yeah, and it was on Game Pass. Exactly.
It seems like a win-win. But, excuse me, moving on to a game that was a win, because Roger, I know you enjoyed this game when it came out, was Forza Horizon 5, and actually it was on my games that I've been playing a lot lately. I don't really stream it, but I've been diving into the whole seasonal thing, like because it rotates from like summer to autumn to fall, and like it gives you like a list of different game like challenges, like oh go through this speed trap or win this race or check out this event labs or go take a picture by this mural or this. It's so dope, and you earn points, and you're earning these points to add a new card to your collection. I was like, yo, like I'm just now figuring out like how these seasons like work. I missed out like 6 months worth of seasons, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be playing this game for a long time. This game is a lot of fun, but they do have a new collaboration with Rivian, and it's pretty cool because they brought in two new cars and they were added to your collection because they're in mine. As soon as I downloaded them, because you can just download them right from the inbox in the game, and you get both of these cars, and they're pretty cool. But
And they're EVs.
yeah, yeah, and because like obviously we've seen the other recent collaboration was with Barbie. You got two cars that were Barbie themed, which was pretty awesome. So really cool
And I
to see.
believe the Ken truck in that was also an EV.
Yeah, there's been a lot of EV cars added
is
to
cool.
the Forza collection, and with Forza Motorsport right around the corner, early access begins on the 5th, and then it officially releases on the 10th. It's another game coming out in October that at least you don't have to dive into your pockets for, but you can play it via Game Pass.
And honestly, EVs in a racing game feel unfair because they are, most good racing vehicles nowadays are partially or mostly EVs. Like even a lot of Formula One cars, they're partial EVs now. You can't beat them.
Right,
They're
because I mean,
fast.
yeah, their 0 to 60 time is like a second.
Yeah.
So you touch the pedal, you're like 60 instant.
It's a 0 to 60.
Sexty.
Yes, yes.
Zero to sexy, I'll take that. Zero to sexy,
Yeah,
is
zero
about
to
4.5
sexy, baby.
seconds.
0 to sexy. But let's
0
move
to
on
sexy.
to Starfield. Roger, you dropped this article into it, and I thought it was pretty hilarious because there was a glitch that saw players that whenever you took off from a planet, it like brought like what was around you with up into space. It's like you're surrounded by rocks and forests, or like in some cases someone brought a whole city or like settlement up into space, and I was just like, man,
They
that is
brought all
broken.
of New Atlantis with them, so they flew away, and New Atlantis came with them into the sky. And I was like, "That's cool."
That's a funny
Nah.
bug. I haven't had I haven't had that happen to me. It has been fixed already with their most recent update, but that was definitely great. But what's really awesome here to see was someone has already built an entire functional city within Starfield, and I'm gonna just bring up here. This is from Forbes, and let's try and avoid these ads as much as we can here. It's pretty hard since they have to take up your entire screen, but like this was pretty fucking dope.
Blocker, what?
Let's see. Let's mute it so we don't get in trouble. But like he has like ports and stuff, like ships come and go, obviously with like resources and like there's people working. Like this shit's massive. Like yeah, you got to provide the power lines. Like it's you're using the outpost builder, but like someone literally took the time to build a fucking city. And this is really hard because like how much you actually have to level up to even get the ability to start doing a lot of this stuff here. But that was pretty cool, Roger. Have you dove into the whole outpost building yet?
That was the first thing I did.
Oh, really? I haven't even had the chance to even. I don't
Yeah, I
think
was talking about that on our first episode. I was like, the fact that like I'm spending almost every level up to do the base building aspect made it really hard to play the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, I haven't even been taught how to do it yet. Like I know I can get into it at any point, but it's just like, yeah, I just don't feel like building that just yet because I haven't really been had a need for any materials yet either. But I mean, it just could be my playthrough how that's going. But moving on here to Xbox Design Lab, they did announce a new part of it, and they're adding the whole Shift series. So I have one of the controllers, the blue one. I'm gonna get it up here on screen. I currently have this blue one, but now you'll be able to like build off of these shifts and kind of make your own controller. This one was the one I have. I want to get this blue and purple one, but one that's exclusive to the Design Lab is this white and pink one, which looks really cool, and then like this grayish tan one was pretty dope. But it's awesome to see that they have officially added the shift, the color shift to the Design Labs. So definitely go check that out there. Um, let's see what else we got here on Xbox. In regards to software, they did officially, you can officially upload your clips and screenshots directly to OneDrive automatically. So as soon as I pop a screenshot on my Xbox, it goes right to my OneDrive, as opposed to it just goes to the captures folder on the Xbox, and then I got to go to it and then upload it to OneDrive.
I mean, it just feels like Windows 11 and Windows 10 OneDrive already. Like,
right, it just makes sense.
I'm surprised it took them so long to take the technology that they do on their computers to the console. Like, it seemed like a no-brainer when you said that they just did this. I was like, wait, they weren't already doing that?
No.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and this would make it a ton easier for me to like save my screenshots and stuff, because like right now I just have to go into the Xbox app, download them, blah blah blah. Where this can just go right onto my phone and take care of it from there at a later time. But
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see that they finally gave that some usage. Maybe they were waiting for a case study and actual usage, and how many people wanted that or what. Not sure why it took them so long. The only thing I can think of is like they just didn't want to do it yet until they felt that people were really going to use that shit. I don't. The only thing I could really think of at that point, because it would be dumb to not have it for the longest time unless you don't think it's going to get used.
Yeah, but like if it does it automatically, you already have a OneDrive. Like it would just I don't know. It just like to me, it's not something I'd go out of my way to use. I would be glad that it's there because you're not consciously using it. It just makes it harder when you like, I need to go get my stuff, and you're like, well, fuck. Guess I can't. Like, it just makes it so much smarter.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all of the Xbox related news. Let's move on to the big hitter of the week here with all of the PlayStation news. Roger, all yours.
All right, so first of all, PlayStation. Sony may have been breached. A ransomware group claims that they have breached all of Sony systems and have threatened to sell a cache of secret trade secret data. Whether or not that's true or empty threats will be left to the future to see. But honestly,
Sony
I really
did
hope
confirm.
It's not. They did confirm it now.
Confirm it's been hacked for sure, but like whether
we're gonna sell your real hardware data if you don't fucking pay us.
I just hope that the consumer data isn't gone again, because that it's happened once, happened twice. If it happens a third time, do I really need to cancel my credit card? Because that's gonna make me sad.
Well, this is it's disastrous if they have personal information again, and if they have card numbers, if they have anything like that.
Honestly, if that happens, Sony needs to pay a huge fine.
No, you want to hear how crazy it was?
They've allowed it. Three times. When I say allow, I mean they weren't like actively opening the door, but they sure as fuck didn't close a bunch of them that allowed these people to get there and do this.
Yeah, you want to hear something funny though? We have a member in our Shoot to Win community saying like he's a PlayStation. Well, he would like to be a PlayStation fan to play online games, and he's been hacked or banned like indefinitely. And like all of a sudden he got an email saying like, oh, you've been unbanned, and like as soon as he like logged in, like he was banned like immediately again. And he was just like, and it was like during these hacking times, like, bro, your shit was probably hacked. Like you probably lost a whole bunch of information. He had the gorilla suit on. Is
what happened. He had the gorilla suit on.
Yeah, probably.
And they just auto banned
the gorilla suit. He fucked up.
Yeah, so I was just like, damn, like that shit was real. Like them hackers were in there like messing with some shit, unbanning people and whatnot. But yeah, PlayStation's been trying to fix everything.
Oh, it's gonna be ass too, because there's gonna be like 3-factor authentication from now on. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare to turn your fucking PlayStation on.
But they're still gonna have single factor for all their admins, though.
Well, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Passwords. I mean, they don't have time to remember those passwords. It's just
Password's
password. Leave it.
password. Yeah.
Yeah, password's password. Nobody would ever think
Oh
of it.
man, dude, working in IT, man, and these jokes, it feels so real some days, and you're like, God damn it, you know somebody does it.
You
God
just have to laugh through the pain. Because I mean, well, you're just gonna be sad, and then you're still gonna have to fix that shit anyway. So you just laugh through the pain. Like that's it. It's so terrible.
Moving on with some Sony news, though. Sony has removed any mention to KOTOR, the remake, from any one of their websites. So, like,
and their videos
KOTOR,
on YouTube, which is insane.
Yeah, KOTOR is not a thing. It never was. It was a different timeline. You are mistaken if you thought it existed.
So,
Yes,
follow this up with
is
some
insane.
Twitter updates. Is someone reached out to Disney and was like, "Hey, why did Sony remove anything related to KOTOR?" They were like, you got to talk to Sony." And then Sony was like, "It's because of licensing issues." And we're like, "How are there licensing issues, like expiration stuff that expired for a game that hasn't even come out yet?" Like, how
It's
does
because they
that
didn't
make
know
sense?
what it's my conspiracy is that in reworking KOTOR, they found like a state secret, or they found like they found another universe, like something absolutely absurd for them to just be like, delete it, get rid of everything, get rid of this, never fucking happened.
It never happened. Oh,
like just sit there and just be like, no, there was no. What do you mean KOTOR? What licensing is? We never fucking worked on KOTOR. What are you talking about? That wasn't a thing. You're wrong. Nelson Mandela died in jail. Like, get out of here.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so let's talk about some other PlayStation news, and we'll end with the
Yes,
biggest
and
news of
I
the
was
week.
very pissed.
So let's talk about games. Cuphead will get a new update exclusive to Xbox and PC, and it will not be on PlayStation. So Cuphead is getting an exclusive, a Microsoft only exclusive, and PlayStation will not get anything for it. In addition to that, Horizon Forbidden West is actually going to come to PC. We talked about it being leaked as a potential thing coming out a few weeks ago or last week. The complete edition will actually drop October 6th. So this week, the complete edition for Horizon Forbidden West will drop on PC. And PSVR 2 will have a bunch of new games coming down the road. Among Us, Journey to Foundation, Heroes of Forever, Tin Hearts, Tiger Blade, and the Foglands are coming to PSVR 2. And then for the services, PS Plus members are actually getting a decent catalog here, if you will. For October, you'll be getting the Callisto Protocol for free. So if you didn't want to spend $60 for a dumpster fire, you get it for free.
Yes.
And we talked about how this game, like how it was a failure last week. Now you get it for free. So at least you can test it for yourself if you have PS Plus, and kind of make that a decision for yourself.
So Roger,
in addition,
are you going to download this and let us know how bad of a dumpster fire
yeah.
this is?
I'll play Callisto Protocol. I think I will put time into beating this game. Maybe Disney will watch it. It'll be really fun, and then she won't sleep because I won't sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. That makes sense.
And then we get Farming Simulator 22 and Weird West as the games coming out.
Right, which makes sense because Weird West just left Game Pass,
yeah,
so now
exactly.
they're like, we just ended that contract. Let's go make another one with PlayStation.
Or it was already in the works.
Oh yeah, it probably
and
already
that's why
was.
it left. Yeah. So last thing before our big news of the week for PlayStation, PS Store adds a new 5-star rating system to help you score your PS4 and PS5 games, so that you can help to help other players decide if it's a game for them.
Yes, we get the review bomb on the PlayStation specifically.
Yeah, on the PS Store now. And then finally, the big news coming out of PlayStation. Jim Ryan has decided after his big monumental loss, it might be time to hang up the towel. March 2024, Jim Ryan is gone. He is out of there. I don't believe we have the name of his successor yet.
There's an interim one, but let me figure it out who it is.
Meanwhile, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you guys about. I might not be able to be on the podcast anymore because of my new job that I got. I won't be able to tell you until about March or April timeframe.
Yeah, okay.
Hiroki Totoki? Pride.
So
which
they're
I'm not.
actually going back to somebody Japanese instead of a Western. I assume, with Jim Ryan, the idea was to help PlayStation break into the Western market harder against the burgeoning presence of Microsoft. But now they're like, maybe the Japanese have this better because honestly, Western companies are cutthroat, brutal, and they don't care. And Jim Ryan is that guy. It just felt like every decision he made was bad for the consumer, bad for the business, just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, for anybody here watching us right now or listening in the near future, just think of a bad decision that Sony has made. Think of a
Jim
bad
Ryan.
decision that you have a 99.999% shot of guessing who made that bad decision if you just say Jim Ryan.
Yeah. Easily. I mean, we've been ripping PlayStation to shreds on this podcast, and I hate to do it because, like, I would love to support PlayStation. That was, like, one of my first main gaming consoles. Like, I have a PS2 Slim sitting right next to me. Like, what happened to those good old days of PlayStation?
What
Yeah,
happened to PlayStation being the better console?
Exactly, and we clearly see it's not because the people are getting asked to, hey, tone it down on the other fucking consoles because you're making us look bad.
Yeah, it's
Get the
just
fuck
a
outta here.
bad. It's a poor console,
And-
and
and
honestly,
honestly, and it kind of feeds the fuel, like the fire of like maybe that's why we've been seeing a lot of like PlayStation exclusives. They're like, we're gonna make this exclusive because we don't want to see it on Xbox because it's going to outperform us by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
and Inhuman's right. Forspoken. That's like what happens. Like we had such good games. God of War 2018. Like
Spider-Man,
what happened? Like God of War Ragnarok.
Uncharted.
Fucking
my opinion.
Rockstar titles. Fucking Rockstar titles.
And then
Like-
Ragnarok was just like, what's a good story? I was like, what?
We're gonna ride the hype of the first game.
Yeah, and like Forspoken, it's all like, let's see if we can just blast all of this big stuff out here, and then it's just like, well, we have all this marketing buzz for Forspoken. It looks great. You hit the play it, and you're like, wow, there's no frames.
But
on
This
a
is
console.
dog shit.
But
First party exclusive that actually runs poor on its own console.
let's circle
What?
back to why though. It was a Square Enix game. Square Enix games have been struggling a lot lately.
Yes,
They
they're,
really
they're
have.
spreading themselves thin.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big issue here. But Scott, let's talk about a gaming hardware that it seems to be very successful.
Yeah, so for those unaware of what the Analog Pocket is, the Analog Pocket is a third-party piece of hardware that is compatible with Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy Color games, but they've recently announced a transparent edition, which is obviously the see-through edition. You can see the internals, things like that. They sold out. I want to say damn near immediately. Like it was real close. Like people were hitting that F5 button like they were looking for Taylor Swift tickets on Ticketmaster. They were just fucking in there, right?
That's what I was gonna say, man. Like they 3D printed dollar bills with
They
these things.
absolutely did. And if you pull it up, it's here. It looks so good. That green is just fucking love it so much. But all of these look really, really good. And for a piece of hardware that's so compatible with so many other things, and then like you can also play. They have adapters for if you want to play. There's another. What was the other one? Not Game Boy. Was it Game Gear? Was the other adapter they have? But I mean, talk about a good sale right there, because
Yeah,
that's
they had a
just
glow-in-the-dark one.
it's a fun product. It's good. It plays with all of you. You don't need emulation, anything like that. If you have the cartridge, you can play it on this. And then they just dropped some new hotness, and it looks really, really good. And it's very easy to see why this sold out so damn fast. Like it's just a good, fun piece of hardware.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Wish
And
I
then
could've
they
signed
made it look even better. It
Yeah.
runs super smooth. Everything looks crystal clear on it. I mean, it's just one of the good ones. It's one of the good ones. So we're gonna leave that under wraps for a little bit, because the minute somebody with a big name or big money gets into this thing, we're all fucked.
Yeah, we're all fucked. So let's move on here to a developer that has been in the news for all kind of things this week. First off, they're We're talking about Epic Games here, guys, the creators of Fortnite and all those other games that they so happen to make. But they're raising the price of their V-Bucks, the in-game currency, on October 27th. It's just a move that doesn't need to be done. It seems to me it's very greedy, but maybe we see why, because they can't afford to pay their workers because they're laying off 870 of them, and another 250 of them are also exiting via Divestiture of Bandcamp and a spinoff
Sure.
Super Awesome is what it's called. So over 1,000 employees are leaving the company, but yet your CEO is blaming Fortnite.
Stockholder prices, bud.
Yeah. This is bad. But on top of that, like with all of this going on, they had to remove the emote known as "Share the Wealth."
Of course they fucking did.
It like moved into the store the same day that all of this news broke, and they're like, maybe that's not a good idea, and remove it. But it's just like, does the CEO like not want to take any like? Hey, maybe I'll take a pay cut to keep these guys.
Well, the problem is you have to step back and like they said, they blame Fortnite growth, but the problem is like how much bigger can Fortnite get? Like the problem at hand is like people sit here and they're like, okay, I want to be able to grow so big that I'm bigger than the population of the world. It's like at some point you have to look at these companies and say, there's only so much money in the fucking world. Like, you can't grow.
It's not growing because they fucking got already. They got everybody already.
They won.
There's nowhere else to play.
Winners.
There's nobody left to play the fucking game. You got them all.
I mean,
like,
even looking at Twitch's numbers, like Fortnite is still the 8th most viewed game right now at 55,000 viewers.
Yeah. Like what, man? To blame this on a slow.
You know what they did? They missed out on their T-Swift concert. They should have just had the T-Swift concert. Yeah,
that's it.
They failed.
They didn't
concert.
They didn't make Travis Kelce a fucking playable character, and so they lost all this goddamn.
Can you imagine
money.
that tie-in? Like they could have had a Taylor Swift concert and had a playable skin as Travis Kelce.
Well, and the thing was, like,
I'm surprised they didn't.
There were so many issues with her tickets getting scalped, and like so many tickets were gone instantly. What if for a moment, all these people who don't play Fortnite are like, oh, for $100, see T Swift in Fortnite.
Yeah,
I don't know if they'd buy into that.
I bet they would.
I don't know. I don't know about that. That's an answer for another timeline.
Yeah,
because I don't know if they.
I feel like that's going down a bad. That's going down a bad rabbit hole with that one, because like the can that you would open by charging people to go to virtual concerts is going to be mind blowing, because we're going to see that with like VR and AR shit like already.
I just can't. I can't in a simple 5-sentence like itinerary piece. I can't just like. There's no better way to encapsulate the bullshit that some of these fucking people think. Like, oh, you raised the price of V-Bucks. You laid off 870 workers. 250 are leaving because of divestiture. And then you're going to blame slow Fortnite growth. And then you remove the share the wealth emote. Like,
you wouldn't have had to lay off anybody because they could have bought it. They could have bought that emote with your increased V-Bucks, and there you go. You would have been fine.
Like, you fucking man. You just it's insane. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, mind blowing. So let's go ahead and move on here, Roger. To Sega was in the news here.
Yeah, so Sega has decided that they were going to cancel a bunch of games because like Sega's not doing so hot. They closed all of their arcades now in Japan. They have started to cancel a ton of unannounced games, as well as the one that was announced called Hyenas.
Yeah, which was a multiplayer shooter that was being developed by Creative Assembly, which is a really, really good developer there, but I guess they didn't like the direction that they were heading with the game.
Well, I mean, like, we already talked about this 100 times over. We don't need another arena shooter. We don't need another live service game. Like, that's what this was. Yeah. And they figured it out quickly, at least, before releasing it.
Yeah,
and then
PlayStation's clearly not. Because, like, they're already blaming, like, they're like, oh, Bungie wasn't as successful as they hoped to be with the whole live service thing. Like, they were supposed to come in and help out with live service across the board, like, with other games with part of the PlayStation. They're like, yeah, this has been a total failure. Like, live service is not the answer. And we're like, well, no shit. We've been saying it for how long?
Yeah. Nope. And so we've got 10 minutes left in the show here, so let's start rattling off some more stuff here. Scott, go ahead with Blizzard.
You're giving me 10 minutes to cover Blizzard? Fuck. Of all the things that I wanted to talk about, this was the biggest one. Chris Metzen is back, baby. Like, absolutely back. This is amazing. This is huge fucking news. If anybody who is a fucking Warcraft fan, World of Warcraft fan, Overwatch fan, original Overwatch, not that bullshit they pulled just a little bit ago, he was directly involved with it. He helped with from Warcraft 1 all the way up to Alma. I think it was almost Mists of Pandaria. He had a part to play in it as the creative director. He eventually left, and then in 2016 started playing with Overwatch as a creative director, and then from there he kind of went and did his own thing. But he is fucking back, baby. Like, absolutely 100%. I'm absolutely hyped for this because he was one of the main reasons we've gotten so much of the good content that we have received.
He was the original voice actor for Thrall, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. He did Diablo, StarCraft, the originals, Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft, all of the expansions up to Legion, Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands. You know, like, he did so much, and then he was just like, I'm done.
He just dropped it. He's like, I'm good.
Back.
Maybe he's excited to get bought out by Xbox, because what significant role could he get moved into then once Microsoft takes over?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will see with Microsoft does some dumb things every once in a while, but they're not this fucking stupid.
But the thing is, like, they've already announced what his role is. He is the executive creative director for all Warcraft.
But that can always change once Microsoft officially takes over. You know that.
And Microsoft can suck the fattest of dicks if they do that, because that would be the dumbest thing. Like, you don't leave a prize horse in the stable for the Kentucky Derby. You don't fucking do it. And this is exactly what that would be. And I think him coming back is, in my heart and headcanon, is him coming back as the executive creative director, because now he's got that dirty shut up Microsoft money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Honestly, he might even be coming back because of Microsoft.
Right.
It could be. Exactly.
They probably reached out like, hey, we need you.
Well, he got called back in like fucking Master Chief, like coming in and be like, hey,
we need you
to save the day. Because you are like he for anybody who played any of the Warcrafts, World of Warcraft, like anything like that, and if that's his role specifically when he returns, I mean that's fucking hype. That is hype. I don't know why we spent so much time talking about Jim Ryan's dumbass when Chris Metzen was coming back into the goddamn game. Like, I'm very excited for this, as I'm sure you might be able to tell.
This could spell a new turn in Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, in Warcraft. Maybe we get a new game finally. Not Reforged. Maybe we get Warcraft 4, and maybe it's a canonical tie into World of Warcraft. There's so many possibilities.
And no matter what we say or guess, we're not going to know until something drops, just because there's so much that could happen with his return and what he can bring into the Warcraft IP.
For sure.
I'm insanely hype on that. So
let's talk about an IP though that is here, that is back, that is popping right now. Cyberpunk 2077, with the most recent release of Phantom Liberty, their DLC, that's pretty massive. That's been reviewing really well and has me pumped to dive back into Cyberpunk. But the funny thing is that you can fail Phantom Liberty's introduction mission and lose access to the entire mainline quest from this DLC if you choose to ignore the objective and let Myers die, and which then leads to a special cutscene that you have in an interaction with Johnny Silverhand, talking about like, damn, that was fucked up, but like, you did it.
That's actually really hilarious. And now, like, when I go to play this, I'm going to fail immediately.
So you wasted $30
just so I can have it, and I'm just gonna reboot it and then play the game from there, because knowing that you have that extra outcome, I have to have it.
You have to.
I just want to know what he says. Just want to see him scold me.
The fact that like they took the time,
samurai.
It's like they took the time to make this cutscene, knowing that people would try this, is great. Because otherwise, like any other game, you would fail this mission. Like, oh, you failed. Start over.
Reload the game. No, you don't get to reload it.
You lose the game. It's amazing.
What the fuck you do that for? Oh, I thought you shouldn't.
I think that's awesome. They actually give you an option to lose the game. This isn't a reload.
But-
This is nothing like that. You lose the fucking game.
And it's really cool that it cuts off the entire DLC, because that really makes the world more live. It
Yeah.
brings more life to the world, because now you're like, Phantom Liberty, that whole timeline can't exist now because I've decided it doesn't. And then you just play the original game. But it also means that, like, that's going to happen if you don't have the DLC, because you can't play the DLC. So then he's just going to die if you get to that point, most likely.
Right. So
That is cool. That's a 10
really
out of 10 for me.
yeah,
Honestly.
I love that. So Roger, let's talk about some release dates and/or delays that have happened this week.
Yes, so let's go rattle them off real quick. High on Knife, the DLC coming out October 3rd has been delayed.
No,
Banishers,
it has not been delayed.
or sorry,
that's
delayed.
that's the
It's
official release
the
date.
release date. Sorry, it's being released this week. We didn't have a release date till last week, and then they're just like next week.
Yeah.
Banishers Ghosts of New Eden has been delayed until February 13th, 2024, due to the October release schedule is fucked. And then City Skylines 2 has been delayed on Xbox and PlayStation only to 2024, while the PS4 or the PC game will still come out October 24th. So if you're ready for City Skyline like myself, you still get it this month. Unless you're on console, then get
They're
better.
trying to dumb it
Yeah.
down for the Xbox. They're trying to dumb
I'm
it
glad
down.
it got.
Went down, you know.
I'm glad it got
PlayStation
delayed.
so bad. Yes, I'm still on that.
Ugh.
So
All right,
yeah,
Vic, what updates do we got?
yeah. So update. So quick update for Apple. Obviously, we talked about the iPhone 15 being able to play like some next generation games, but we weren't sure like how much these games were going to cost. But we got first one. Resident Evil 4 remake will cost $60 because you're apparently getting like console quality game here. It's not like a dumbed down iOS version of the game. Only time will tell.
I gotta see to believe
Is this
Yeah,
that.
so
is
do
this
I.
before or after they fixed the overheating issue
The
that the
overheating
iPhone
issue.
15s have been fucking coming out
Apparently, it hasn't been like the iPhone. It's been like the third-party apps that have been like not optimized for the. But in here nor there, don't care.
But they approve it. They approve everything on the store. So I think that's still Apple doing the work there, that they're fucking it
Well,
up.
it's like the outdated versions. They haven't released newer versions for the new software or whatever, so it's still running old
Well,
software.
don't worry. Apple has updates for overheating and radiation output, so they should be fine.
Yeah, we'll be good.
yeah, just
Um,
quick firmware update.
Quick update though from Software: Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice has officially sold 10 million copies. So that's awesome to see.
5-10 years later.
Yeah. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is officially coming to PC via Steam. And Battlefield 2042 is getting an anti-cheat system starting in Season 6. And also Season 6 has been teased that zombies could be coming. So kind of like Call of Duty's been doing with their most recent event coming out for October. It's going to be zombies. But
Yeah, I mean, this definitely feels like a Coke versus Pepsi
Yeah, it does.
debate. It really, really does. I mean, if they want to bring zombies in, awesome, good for them.
Do it right.
Yeah, do it right. Playing Battlefield was fun. It just wasn't the Call of Duty experience.
I mean, it wasn't when you had flying
Hoverboats.
hover ships, hoverboats. Like, fuck, dude, that game was so broke. And they're like,
dude,
oh
fine.
yeah, what's anti-cheat?
oh yeah, maybe we'll get
Like,
that.
oh yeah, but I mean,
Eventually.
at least this was Season 6 and not like 3 games and 12 seasons later,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it still didn't work.
Yeah, it still didn't work.
Are you talking about COD here? Because I feel like we're
I'm
talking
just,
about COD
I don't know.
here.
I just anybody really out there that waited until there was an entirely new game and then like 10 seasons into that game and then released one that didn't work and then waited and then restructured that and then eventually worked on something where it did work. By that time, like your playership already dropped. Yeah, you know, just anybody. That could be anybody at this point, right? You know.
Doubt it. But that's all of our gaming news. We do got a couple of leaks and rumors to get to. Let's go check those out. Alright, so kick it off with Xbox and Call of Duty here, continuing that. Looks like Call of Duty games could be coming to Game Pass sooner than we think, via an image and text appearing. When you go to buy older Call of Duty titles, it says that, hey, you can enjoy this game for free on Game Pass. And we're like, wait a minute. Okay. So maybe we're getting those a lot quicker than anticipated. So that'll be exciting there. But other Call of Duty news here, a Dune crossover is also coming according to some data mining. It leaked images and what the operators are going to look like, and I did not expect this at all. But at this point, it doesn't even matter. Call of Duty's crossing over with anybody and everybody. So kind of, they're trying to be like Fortnite because Fortnite's clearly not winning anymore. But Scott, what's going on with Red Dead?
So Red Dead Redemption 2, there was a Switch port rating, and it appeared on Brazil's rating board website. So, I mean, just in the same vein of like, you know, the enjoy it for free on Game Pass. Like, what is this gonna mean? What are we gonna see for Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to Switch? Like, what are we looking at here? It's a fun, like, yeah, it's gonna come to Switch. Maybe it's gonna be on the next Switch.
Right.
We'll see. But it's having Nintendo and Switch actually go through, do the ratings and stuff like that is a pretty big indicator we're going to see that here eventually.
For sure. And Roger, if you want to round out our leaks and rumors here with a Far Cry leak.
Yeah, with this Far Cry leak, honestly, it's got me interested. Like, fuck Far Cry, but like this actually has got me wanting to maybe try it. Far Cry 7 will be a new non-linear take on the series. So instead of quest game, it's now go do your stuff, and you've got 72 hours in game to beat the game. If you don't, game over. That's 24 real world hours that you have to do what you need to do to win the game. So it's centered around a conspiracy group called the Sons of Truth. The Sons of Truth have kidnapped the player's family, and you are tasked with rescuing your family members. You're supposed to rescue them all, but you can let some of them die. And as you lose family members through the playthrough, the story will change, and it will result in a completely different outcome based on who you just sacrifice to to the enemy. The game's story ends when you rescue all of your family members. You have 72 hours to do so, and if you fail, you must restart the game if you run out of time. So the game, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, this sounds really interesting. It kind of reminds me like how Deathloop works. It's like you have a certain amount of time to kill X, Y, and Z, but if you don't, you have to start over. And it's like you learn the game as it goes, and then you could eventually get to, like it says, 100% achieved when you rescue all family members and you take down all of the Sons of Truth. So it's like you can learn the game, learn like, okay, cool, if I do this, I can save him, do that, and kill that person. Boom. So that's
this is awesome. I think having a real life deadline as far as like playtime goes is fucking outstanding. That's gonna add like an entirely new element to the game where you're like, you don't have fucking time to waste. You can't load it up and then idle for 20, 30, 40 minutes.
And Marshmallow makes a good point here. Like, you know, this isn't the first time this ever happened in a game, and like let's talk about Ocarina 2, you know, Majora's Mask. The game literally built it's the entirety of Ocarina of Time, just with all the assets reused in different locations, and then a new map and a new way to play the game, and they're like, it still was a smash. Like,
it was absolutely.
The fact that the game literally just all they did was change how the game's played, and they're like, okay, time limit, go.
Well, it's because they wanted the development team wanted to make a different game, but at the time Nintendo was like, money. You can do that after you make us a successful sequel to Ocarina of Time. They're like, here's fucking Majora's Mask, have at it. And they're like, this is amazing. I love this.
And they're like, why are all the assets reused? Don't worry about it. It looks great.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But like, but Marshmallow, I think people hating this. They're just. I think you're gonna have when you buy this game or when you go to play this game, you're gonna have to have that understanding of this very, very real limitation and game aspect. So like people that do get the game, or people that get it, if they're like, oh, I didn't know you only had 72 hours. Like, well, first off, read the description. Secondly,
even like listen to the opening game.
Yeah,
they'll probably tell you
literally anything. Or alternatively, people that like buy it and then just like can't beat it or something like that, like get better at planning or get better at the game. I don't like get good because there's a very real.
There's like just a lot of dumb people out there that can't handle like complex thought, and this game is not your normal Far Cry. It's going to take a little more planning, a little more thinking. No, Marshmallow, you can think. You have complex thought. You've played Majora's Mask and beat it. That takes some thinking and planning.
That's
and
not
you did it
untrue.
as a kid.
That's not untrue. So I think honestly, this game is really going to be a big among the parents, like any parents that are gamers, because like you know, maybe you can't save all your kids Who's it gonna be?
Which kid you gonna save?
Everyone,
You've got
everyone
three.
like-
Which is your favorite?
Everyone likes to say they don't have a favorite, but who's it gonna be? Which one is gonna get you either? Which one's gonna keep you out of a home? Which one's gonna help you out when you're older? You know, which one you can play that fantasy as many times as you'd like. All you have to do is just not save one of them, and you're good. You're perfect. You're golden, and you'll know exactly what happens.
Yeah, so only time will tell. Hopefully, this is a turnout for a twist for Far Cry, because it's kind of been the same game since like apparently Far Cry like 4 or 5 up until now. Like it's been basically the same game. But like I
Far
said,
Cry is fucking boring. Not gonna lie.
Honestly, Far Cry 1 and 2 were way better than any other Far Cry at this point, because
They were
like
so much
they
better.
actually had just a stupid plot and they were just brain dead shooty games, and I loved
Well,
them.
yeah.
And then they were like, let's just go with this open world exploration game because it's hot.
Or like Far Cry Instinct, like that was one of the ones that I just loved so much because you're not there for like, oh, this is a realistic storyline. You're there for fucking dumb shit. You're there for that. That's why you wanted to play it, and it was fantastic. And hopefully, I mean, this might be as real as it gets for some people.
right. But that's all of our leaks and rumors and all of our other news we have. So it is time to thank all of our viewers here live, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Roger, where can the community find you at?
You can find me at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. I haven't streamed in a while, so if you're really looking to talk or chat, make sure to check out our Discord channels.
And what about you, Scott?
As always, you can find me on twitch.tv/Scubby1. If you find a rare full moon that happens to be on a Friday the 13th where I might actually be streaming. But other than that, you can find me on Discord at Scoby1. If you want to get a hold of me on Battle.net or anything like that, my number is 11780. And then, as always, if you just want to get a hold of me and see what I'm up to in my personal life, or just talk to me about anything really, you can always find me on Instagram. My handle is Scoby1.
And of course, guys, you can find me over at Twitter, or if you want to call it X, at Mr. Never Chillin _. Threads is Mr. Never Chillin. Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any questions, concerns, or if you even want to come on the show, hit me up there. I do play games on Xbox at xnever_chillin, and I stream over on my twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin, where I'm currently streaming Starfield and Sea of Stars, and soon to be Liza P, because that is looking to be our winner of the Game Club Game of the Month for October over at Shoot to Win. So come check us out there. So really looking forward to diving into that. But we want to thank everyone again, and make sure you come check us out in the After Show channel and our Discord again if you want to continue the conversation. But until next time, peace.
Restart podcast.